This is Hardy Brute with another run of Noobs Are Coming. Last time we played Bigfoot, we kicked around some pretty big balls, and we unlocked a few items but no bosses. So this time I'd like to focus on the polyfocus. You only get to choose one weapon, but most weapons are unlocked. And the weapon you choose will be the only weapon you find throughout the entire run. And for that weapon, I'd like to play with the shotgun. There was an update to the game, which affected the shotgun, and changed this run completely. So I re-recorded it, and we'll be playing on difficulty 5 with the shotgun again. But the big changes is that the shotgun gains an extra bullet for each upgrade tier. So the white shotgun starts with 3 bullets, but the purple is 6. So it makes the damage double. And I had to check that out. So let's see how this run goes in a higher difficulty, but with a much better shotgun. I don't want to affect our cooldown. This is actually going to be a cooldown run. On my first run I focused on damage percentage and crit, but this run's going to be all about cooldown. So let's get the 5% XP, get the shotgun and the 4% cooldown, that is fantastic. And let's roll trying to get another shotgun in the shop. Well, we got some damage, so let's lock that down and continue to roll. And we got the shotgun, nice. And we also have just enough cash to get the bleeding eye. So let's buy that and move on. In my original run, I went crit and I went damage percentage. And we got the crit up to about 60% and the damage percentage around 80. So we were doing some big numbers, but there was also downtime. There's a small little window where you're pretty vulnerable. Your shotguns are used and you can't attack. So this time I wanted to focus heavily on cooldown and see how good that was by comparison. So we barely made any souls that run, and so I'm not going to re-roll here, because I want to buy that third shotgun. So let's get the crit, and let's get the lifesteal. That's going to be our main way to heal. So let's buy the third shotgun. We have just enough for one re-roll, and nothing worth locking down, but we got the ranged and the gun trait. Range damage is increased 15%, we get an extra 20 range, 3% cooldown, and an extra plus 3 dex if we get 5 shotguns, which is pretty strong in that last trait. Just a bunch of free damage. I like that you can see each individual gun firing, being on cooldown, and especially with the shotgun, you can sort of walk towards that direction, making the most of each blast so that it'll hit multiple targets. Because we fire a lot of bullets, but they don't go very far. But we're trying to max that cash early on. So these are all green. I would definitely like cooldown, or dex, we get both here. Definitely gonna take cooldown. I think cooldown is actually stronger than dex. Let's get the max HP, let's buy the 4th shotgun. We could get HP, but I'm gonna be greedy here, roll for more guns, and try to get even more cooldown. And we did get our 5th shotgun, nice. That'll give us the free dex, which will boost our damage up to 9. And the cooldown is down to 1.22 from 1.37. So we are definitely getting there. We are also a lot stronger because we have more guns, but also they do more damage. And that is very, very important early on when cash has the most value. Because slowly the rerolls, the prices, they're all going to inflate and get bigger and bigger. So getting a really good start is pretty huge. The way this character works, it kind of guarantees that you get at least 6 purple weapons. So it's a pretty fun aspect, and really lets you try a ton of different builds. Let's definitely get the cooldown and the dex. So we should also probably buy the soul attractor. It's just going to increase our income later. Got the 6th shotgun, nice. But we do need some HP, so we don't get one shot later on. But I'm not going to give up cooldown for it, so I'm not going to buy the love injection. And we got a green and a white shotgun. As you can see from the green, the base damage increases, the scaling increases, and the amount increases. Times 3 to times 4, and the cooldown actually decreases. So the shotgun scales very nicely tier to tier. And we're going to get a big boost whenever we make a shotgun purple. But you should be aware that even though the shotgun says amount, it is not actually affected by amount. Those are just the base stats on it. So it should almost be called something different, like bullet count, or something along those lines. Because some of the other ranged weapons actually do get increased by amount. but those are mainly bows, and the parentheses, the little brackets, sort of make it obvious. But I think most people playing the game for fun, who aren't really paying attention to every little detail, would maybe buy a mount by mistake. So it would just be clear for those people. So I think I have to take the Soul Harvest, because it's blue and 4% is a decent amount. These ones are all guaranteed blue because we're level 10, and I'm going to take the dex damage. We could have rolled for cooldown though. So let's merge and buy. And buy the cheap health. Ooh, we got a blue shotgun now. Times 5 amount, cooldown of 1.02, 17 damage. The damage is getting up there. And the rerolls are still pretty cheap. Lots of lifesteal, let's lock that down. And get the extra HP. So we just gained a ton of damage. And 6 more bullets because all our guns are green now. And our green from last time became a blue. So we got a big damage upgrade. Which is very nice for wave 6, which usually has a big density. But these shotguns have a bit of piercing, a bit of knockback, and they also bounce off the walls. And the bouncing, while looking very cool, probably won't have too much of an effect on the game, because our range is so tiny. But we are slowly increasing it. The piercing is always helpful though, especially when we get surrounded, and it affects every projectile, and every projectile we gain. So more and more piercing, more and more bodies hit. And this is our go-to item, crit and damage, so double damage on one item. This doesn't help us besides the Soul Harvest, same thing with the Soul Portal, but let's get cooldown. And we got another white shotgun, so let's merge. The blue shotgun is down to 0.97 cooldown now, whereas the white is still above 1 second. Let's get even more damage, get the HP, and keep on rolling. Another white, nice. We could lock the archer, but I don't think we need it. But the HP would be nice. Especially now that we have some lifesteal, we actually have something to heal. And we are prioritizing cooldown pretty much over everything else. Even the dex, even the damage. But we still want dex in the build, because dex is always good. But you can already see the spray of bullets getting faster and faster. Every time we get cooldown, or every time we just upgrade the gun. And so I'm hoping we can get the cooldown under a half a second, and we'll be doing double damage, just because we're firing twice as fast. That'll be pretty cool. Our end build should still be above 30 dex, probably 30% crit as well, because there's quite a few items that synergize and give you both of those stats. But cooldown is the king. We'll also get around 40 HP to feel safe, and give us even more to heal. So we get dex and range, that's perfect. Let's get the XP, that is going to be even more stats later on, and instead of rolling, let's just take the dex. So let's buy the blue shotgun after we merge, and also get the HP. We should also get the crit as well, 4% crit for 1 less damage. It's probably a damage gain. And let's get the 4% cooldown. Found a blue shotgun, so let's lock that one down. And we're getting pretty close to the purples at this point. That's one of the biggest benefits of this character, is that you get the high tiers, the purple weapons, very early on. And that's what happens when you only find one weapon. But we could have 2 purples, and it's only wave 8. So that is very, very strong. I feel like I'm using a super soaker, and just spraying everybody around me. And anybody who survives gets knocked back to infinity. Because every one of our bullets, even though the knockback is very tiny, all of them do the knockback. So a lot of the enemies can't even get close. But I feel pretty strong, pretty safe. And I feel like this build is stronger than the crit one, just because there's no downtime. There's not moments where I'm very, very weak, or can take a free hit. So let's save our money and get the max HP. I would definitely prefer cooldown or dex though. Let's combine, and now all of our shotguns are going to be blue, with a 0.92 second cooldown. And we got a green shotty, so let's make our very first purple. It gains a 1 damage base, a 100% scaling from 90, a better cooldown, and an extra projectile. So let's buy the crit as well. It's kinda crazy that the purple gains 10% more scaling, whereas most versions are a 5% gain. So the purple usually doesn't jump up that much compared to the other ones. But the shotgun is its own beast, and I love it. Wave 9 is the first major wave where you can make a ton of cash. Having some high tier shotties, we should get at least 300 souls here. When I don't die to it, this is probably my favorite wave, because all the enemies are melee, and they just all rush you non-stop. The main concern is the guys that charge up and attack do between 7 and 9 damage, so they can easily one-shot you, and in our case they would 3-type us, and it becomes especially dangerous if you don't have a way to heal, and they just start wearing you down. And once again, we got cooldown and dex in the same shop, so definitely gonna take the purple cooldown. And the 3% cooldown, we gain 10% cooldown there. The white shotty is actually below a second now, 0.92, and the purple is down to 0.77. We also got a unique cauldron. Whenever you drink a potion, you get 25% cooldown. That item is insane, I didn't even know that existed. And it's also perfect for our build. So when we drink a potion, we'll drop down to 50% cooldown. Let's get the attractor for the cash. And I don't think I'm going to buy any more white shotguns. I'd rather just buy some greens or blues and upgrade them. Or we can get lucky enough just to find a purple and skip the middleman. We had just enough cash to buy it too. We also got uneducated. Gives us +3 dex, so let's lock that bad boy down. The purple shotgun is up to 24 damage, our blue is 21, and the green is 17. But we're mainly doing 24s and 48 when we crit. But look how fast we're firing. It is just a non-stop barrage. And anything that comes close to us just explodes instantly. Or it gets pushed back. At this point, this is far stronger than the crit and damage. Just because we had a constant wave of bullets. Our final shotgun did get up to 70 damage though in the other run, and would crit for 140, but we were only firing 3 bullets instead of 6, and we were firing more than half as slow, because every time we drink a potion now, will give us up to 55% cooldown for 2 seconds. And that's only going to get bigger and bigger, if we're lucky enough. But we got another 350 souls. Let's get another bounce. I'm not sure that's actually going to help us, because the bullets have to go pretty far to travel back and forth. But let's get the HP. And let's actually get the purple speed. It is a purple, 12% is a lot. And let's get the dex, the HP, even more dex, and the green shotgun. That was a great shot. And even more cooldown. This is exactly what we want. More souls for less health. Might as well take the risk. I don't want to sacrifice our cooldown because that's what we're building up. Blue shotguns, now we have almost all purples. The cooldown of 0.72 now. We also gained 4 damage on our purple shotguns. So now we're going to be doing 28s and 56s on crit. But you can see the firing is even faster. And we should get a burst whenever we drink a potion as well. But I'm going to try to save the potions for when we're surrounded, or there's lots of enemies. With this wave with the archers, kinda has terrible density. But look at the rapid fire. It only lasts 2 seconds. But it only needs to last 2 seconds. But I think the archers, especially on these higher difficulties, are my least favorite enemies. We're placing the Toad as enemy number 1. They got me a number of times just trying to complete this run on its own, because their arrows linger for a long time, they just bounce around wildly, and they do around 5 damage. So they will slowly get you. Let's get the +3 dex. Got the final shotgun to make all of them purple. And I won't get extra bounces, but I will get the crit, which will push us up to 18% crit. And let's get the +2 dex, the +4 HP. And we're out of cash, but I probably would have bought the 8% damage if we could have afforded it. So we're up to 34 damage, a 0.72 second cooldown. So there's still quite a bit of cooldown that I'd like to get, to push it under 0.5 if we can. And a lot of that cooldown is going to be coming from levels and a few items. We've been buying the items we have seen. 4% cooldown here, 4% cooldown there. And there is some uniques and some limiteds too as well that we haven't seen yet. But now we have maximum number of bullets, and we're setting out a big cone of projectiles. So nothing survives the barrage. And we're making decent souls on this stage. But it doesn't quite seem like the density or the spawn rate is keeping up with our damage. But I am very glad that we got the 12% speed, so we can run from one end to the other, and find little patches of enemies. Get all the little juicy nuggets. And we only got around 250 souls this time. But let's get some more range for no downfall. Let's sell the armor, because we're at glass cannon all the way. This is level 20, these are all purple. We would like dex or cooldown. And we get both again, nice. So at some point I should maybe be getting more dex, but cooldown is just so fun. And we got even more cooldown, 4%. More range, and I think our final attractor. And we're almost out of cash, so let's make the items 7% cheaper. But we got 48% cooldown now. Our purple shotties are at 0.6 cooldown. We're getting closer and closer. And look how fast we're firing. And we haven't even drunken a potion yet. But it just launches out of there. The knockback, plus the damage, plus the number of projectiles. I'm not sure it matters if we do a lot of damage or not. But you can still see the buff from the potion as well. So if there is a cooldown cap, which I'm not even sure there is, the potion still has a pretty strong effect on our fire rate. So we can still increase it quite a bit. And if we break 100%, is it just going to become insane? Because that is what I hope. And seeing all the projectiles launch at like 0.1 seconds, that would be amazing. Especially with our limited range, it would look so funny. So let's get the +3 dex. And get the crit and even more dex. We could lower the enemy's health, but that also costs 106 souls. And those souls could be used to buy a cooldown, so I think I'm going to leave that there. And we're out of cash, we can't buy any of these. But our shotgun is now up to 38 damage. So when it crits, it'll be a 76 now. But our damage is actually growing quite a bit round from round. The shotgun, even the top tier, it doesn't have the craziest scaling. It's only 100% a 1-for-1. The big spike balls that we kicked around last time, they scaled up to 180% strength, and strength is actually easier to get than dex. Because the white strength gives +2, while the white dex only gives you +1. And for each 1 damage on the shotgun, it's actually 6 damage per shotgun, because they have 6 projectiles each. So 6 times 6, we're actually launching 36 bullets out. And even more, if it's going to be a crit. So I think our damage numbers look low, but I think we actually do quite a bit of damage. So we'll have to prove it next wave, against the boss, see how long he survives. Let's get the dex in range. So we could get more dex, but we'd be giving up more souls later for it, and that's probably not worth it. Hopefully we can find some more common cooldowns. And we're out of cash already, so we didn't find anything good in the shop. But our shotty is currently at 39, 170 range, and it says 0.35 cooldown, but that can't be accurate. We must have drinking a potion at the end of the level, but we're just bullying this boss. Pushing him back completely, doing insane damage. He died in 10 seconds. He did get one solid dash on us though, so good for him. But this has to be the strongest build I've ever had before. Cooldown might be the most broken mechanic in the game. Because don't forget, this is difficulty 5. So even if the enemies don't do more damage, they should have a lot more health. And the variation, the units that have spawned has been different. Some enemies have showed up early, like the archers. Or there's some new enemies, like the clerics, or the flying swordsman. But even with crit, you're only going to be doing double damage. And it's difficult to raise it to around 100%. Where with cooldown, I think you only need 50% to start having double the attack speed. Let's take the golden souls and the blue cooldown. Gonna push us up to 53%. And we got a decent amount of souls to roll here. An extra attack slot, that's pretty nice. And the takeaway amount does not affect us. To get the 4 HP and the 4% cooldown. So we're up to 57 with a cooldown of 0.49 seconds. So we got under the half second that I wanted, but it was glitched out the last time, showing at 0.35. And even with that, whenever we drink a potion, it should drop to 82% cooldown. And as you can see, it still does affect us. So we definitely can get even more cooldown than we have. But the toads are one of the most dangerous enemies, just because they're invulnerable in the air. Well, if you could damage them while they're jumping, they'd probably be a bit too easy, just because they are very, very slow. It's kind of wild how much damage we do, how quickly we took out the boss, and how little souls we still have right now. Because we are limited by our speed going left and right. But you would think we'd have a lot more souls for how strong we are right now. So let's get the dex. The rerolls already cost about 20% of our souls. And we can get even more dex. And let's start rolling for some cooldown. Get +2 dex here. I'm not going to take the less harvest, because we still have 2 or 3 shops before the final boss. But we did break the 30 dex barrier. Get a bit more crit, we're up to 26% crit. And we're up to 43 damage. But 26% is pretty good for crit, especially when we haven't been trying to scale it. But the 25% chance is almost guaranteed with how many bullets we're actually firing at. 6 times 6 is 36. And if we actually remember to buy our 7th gun, then we'll have 42 bullets. And the chance that we'll crit more than once will be even higher then. I do feel pretty safe though. We are almost guaranteed to crit and to lifesteal with how many bullets we have. But we did just get hit there for a third of our life. And while we're guaranteed to crit, guaranteed to lifesteal, the units actually die before we get to full health, which is a bit awkward. So hopefully that'll be different when we fight the boss. So let's definitely get the +3 dex. And we could get the green shouty, but I'd rather just roll for some cooldown, because we haven't reached the cap if there is one. And before the final boss, I will definitely buy whatever shotgun's in the shop, at least get the 7th weapon. But we haven't had a lot of cash to work with round around. Only around 200 souls at the most. Even though we clear the board very quickly. But the next wave, we should get around 600 souls. And we'll get one big shopping spree right before the end. And hopefully get some more of the stuff that we actually want. We did improve our damage though. 47 base damage, 94 when we crit. Which is still quite a bit smaller than the 70, 140 I had last time I tried this. But we are shooting double the amount of bullets. And our cooldown is more than double as well. So we're quite a bit stronger than that. So range would be good, but of course I want more cooldown. Got a green cooldown, that's pretty worth it. And a purple shotgun. This time we have to buy it. So up to 61% cooldown is 0.45 for every attack. I will buy the crit, but I'm not going to buy the health or lock it down. And this is going to be our last roll here. And we can afford the dex too, nice. So with 34 dex, we're up to 47 damage. We also gained around 15% damage just from adding that extra weapon to us, going from 6 to 7. But look at the attack speed. It almost looks very similar to when we drink a potion. But it's basically a machine gun at this point. Big old super soaker. Big old hose just spraying out the water out there. And I don't actually notice too much of a difference when we drink a potion now. So it doesn't seem like we can get too much more cooldown. We're currently at 61. And we take some big old hits. And so death is always on the table. But it would probably be our own fault if we did die. We got to 550. 600 souls right at the end. Even more cooldown? Yes, please. Armor, no. Lifesteal, yes. These are all purple. I want the dex, but I actually want the cooldown. 0.4 right now. It's crazy. But a purple cooldown would be very nice. And they keep taunting me with that dex. Ooh, 7% cooldown. So now we're up to 72, but it actually shows 70 on this side there. That has to be the cap. So let's get the dex and the range. And we could get the HP, but I don't want to lose even more damage. So I think this is going to be our final one. 49 damage, and a cooldown of 0.35. And so we actually saw the cap earlier, because when you drink the potion, you also get 25% cooldown. This is the second time we're fighting this boss. He is unable to dash through this time, and we're just bullying them to the corners. Wow. We took out both bosses in 10 seconds. And that's how long it took us the first time to take out just the solo boss. So while they didn't improve, we improved pretty dramatically. And now we have the cooldown cap, so the potions don't actually do anything for us, which is a bit sad. But we've achieved our final form, reached 100% and maximum power. So I feel I could even just stand here and nothing's gonna reach us. Even the toads. But that was a crazy run. I combined all of the rewards we got together. But our shotgun had 49 damage, 6 total bullets, a 0.35 cooldown, and a range of 188, which is pretty good for a shotgun. We actually had 78 increased range. But we unlocked the Dupe multiplier, 1% more crit for every 20 crits you make, up to 20%. The Uneducated, which gave us +3 dex, and we actually used it in this run. The Mono Oculus, which is actually the opposite of the Polyfocus, gains 800% damage, a lot of cooldown, and uses only a single weapon that is upgraded throughout the run. We also got the Goldenator, a soul-generating ranged weapon for playing the Polyfocus on difficulty 5, and the Firebow, revving 30 dex in one run, which is a combination of dex and elemental damage. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.